morning, and thank you so much for joining us today. You guys are going to love, love, love my guest. Her name is Jill Weston, and I met her, I can't remember how long ago, but maybe 2 years ago or so, and it was through yoga. So she is your go-to woman for everything and anything yoga and self-love. So I love that she is kicking us off today. And Jill, tell us what you have going on in life right now, especially having to do with yoga and self-love.
Happy to be here and always happy to see you. It's been a long time since we've been able to see each other in person, so happy to see you over video chat, although we chatted the other day. What I have going on is I feel like it's perfect for the times, and I say that humbly because a lot of the work that I do, for me, I'm really clear that it's not me. I think it's my life path and my work that I'm to do, but I'm always excited. What I do is called Yoga Nidra, and I'm just feel very blessed to have learned the practice, and I feel like it's especially helpful right now. There's so much overwhelm, so much physically, emotionally, spiritually or religiously, whatever your path is, because there's so many things right now, I think, Janice, that can bring fear for us, that can knock us off of our balance. Many times in my life, I feel like I've been very set and very clear on things. I'm feeling good about my heart. And not that I'm perfect, but I'm able to check in a lot, or I've been able to check in a lot with myself. And most times pretty clear on, okay, maybe that doesn't feel so good, or that's not what I'm supposed to do. And during these times, myself and other people that I know, it's hard to make decisions. What are you making decisions off of? The things that maybe your heart was called to do, or even your body wanted to do, is off kilter. You and I are going to maybe meet up later to meet another wonderful person, but the air quality is affecting that. And so I'm finding that my responses to that, people's attitudes about things, it's almost like your home base, and sometimes that's your heart base, is thrown off during these times. So I'm especially focused right now on offering Yoga Nidra. I've started doing audio recordings for people, very simple, very accessible guided meditations, nothing that's too deep for people. And I have, by being in these COVID times, I actually feel like I have a little less time than what I would like because I'm very creative right now. Um, but by being home much more, I'm actually practicing more mindfulness myself. So there's days where I might sit for an hour quietly, not necessarily even in meditation. I have a friend that we do silent sits. There's days that I practice Yoga Nidra twice in a day. So I'm feeling called right now to just offer as much as I can to help people with the current overwhelm.
That is amazing, and we need it right now. And tell us exactly, because some people may not know, yoga nidra versus like what a lot of people think yoga is, which is the poses with the flow and the movement. So explain to us a little bit about the difference there.
Yeah. Some of the physical difference, which I think is probably easiest for people to hear first and for people who are watching to visualize. People think yoga asana, it's going to be a headstand or dancer's pose or stretching, or sometimes for people are like, oh, it's those poses that I can't do, or the poses that I love to do that feel good. So if you think of physically, yoga nidra, you're going to be laying down with a pillow and maybe a blanket over you, and you don't move. People say, well, what's the point of that? I can lay down at home. So you're laying down to get your body to relax. You're not sitting up because ideally you get into such a relaxed state. You also go into two different brainwave states, which we'll talk about, that you might tip over. So you're laying down, and then a facilitator, and in this case it would be me, I guide you through with my words. So we do what's called a body rotation. And that's simply notice your right hand, notice your right wrist. We go all the way through the body, literally asking the body to relax down. There's some other things that go on as well. And then we get to a point, we do a nice piece around the heart. How is your physical heart? How is your emotional heart? How is your spiritual heart? Then you're in a different brainwave state where you kind of feel like you're sleeping. And Nidra means sleep in Sanskrit. But you're also moving past barriers. So you're in a theta and an alpha state, relaxed, almost sleeping, but you're peeling away all the things, all I said, the voices in your head. People who told you, Janice, you're not smart enough. Jill, you're so clumsy. Who do you think you are? Perhaps not really looking at trauma because it's a very, in Yoga Nidra, it's a very subtle, but it gives you time to pull up what are all the things that you've told yourself? What are all the experiences that are not in your best interest? You're not bypassing, but it's almost like opening up a little book and flipping through the pages and going, oh, I kind of remember that. Oh, yeah, my elbow does hurt a little bit, but not making up a further, not stacking opinions and attachment and judgment on top of it, but letting it go. So it sounds like there's a lot of mental work in there, but it's really not. It's very subtle. And in the two different brainwave states, you start to see and remember all the possibilities. So you talk about this all the time. When we're born, we were born into this world with love. We don't know any better until you tell a kid you were stupid for doing that. I don't like you because of X, Y, and Z. You walk funny, you look funny. That's when we start getting pulled away from who we are. And in Yoga Nidra, it's actually hard for me to describe. It's just like this kind of magical letting down and going, yeah, I have cancer, but I'm not 100% my cancer. I have, I'm on unemployment. I have COVID. Times are terrible, and all of that is true, but it's pulling up that resolve and it's pulling up what we do have inside of us to look at that and then decide what we want to do with it. So physically, you lay down. Emotionally, it's very non-threatening. And then when people get done, it's just curious when I listen to, they're like, oh, I found the source of my anxiety. Oh, I can look at that differently. And then some people just feel relaxed. So
Wow.
there's a meditative nature to it, but you're not having to focus on anything. Sometimes in meditation, we're focusing on our breath, or we may focus on an object, or it's a walking meditation. In this, you lay down, someone guides you through, and you just go into this different state of seeing possibilities and remembering who you are.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have taken one of your classes before and it was amazing and magical. So hopefully we can get you to do one for us this week. Maybe a little live session where people can experience what you're talking about and the benefits of that. And as far as self-love goes, how do you think self-love and yoga mix?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of really good touch points. For me, I think we could all talk hours about self-love. It's why you're doing this second challenge. For me, I think of it as knowing and recognizing your needs and your wants. So again, we've all had lots of messages from family, from the media, from growing up about, who we should be, who they think that we are. Sometimes we're asked to do things and it's because someone else is asking or we feel that we have to. So for me, it's recognizing what your needs and wants are. And in the whole yogic world, we talk about 8 limbs and other perspectives. Yoga is more than the headstand. But for example, the physical practice of yoga, that includes discipline. Back when studios were open, or even if you decide to go out in the park or do it in your house, do you have the mental discipline to know that that's what you need? Do you have the mental discipline to get your mat together You can do it in jeans, you can do it in yoga clothes, but to get dressed, to actually carry out the practice. Do you have the discipline to stick with the practice? I've practiced yoga for a long time, primarily in studios. And at one point I was like, let me try this at home. The first time on my own, I was like, no, I think that's enough. And I knew it wasn't because I was doing a certain series. Another time I was listening to an audio tape back, again, I aged myself by saying an audio tape or a CD. And the teacher came on and said, hey, I see you. Keep practicing. You're not done yet. And it hit that point where I think people typically would stop. So again, with the yoga asana, the physical, having the discipline is part of yoga, just the physical practice of how do you feel in your body. So for people who have been body shamed and either shame themselves or people have shamed them, people who think there's a lot of discussion, it's not super new, maybe being of color or certain culture, sexual orientation, that you don't belong in a certain style of yoga or you're not welcomed in a studio. So just coming to terms with what is your body. The practice that I do, we have mirrors on purpose, and it's called like a visual meditation of, can you look in the mirror and accept your body, accept your postures, accept that you and I have different body types. You've practiced longer than I have. I don't need to look over and go, oh, look at what Janice is doing. Self-love. What do I need? What do I want? I don't need to chase your posture. So I think yoga is helpful that way. And then, physically, physiologically, there's a lot of good for your organs, for your stress level. And so there's many limbs. Again, that's just kind of the physical practice of yoga. And then the different aspects of, again, the mindfulness. I'm more careful now because I think we're learning there's things we've been taught about yoga that maybe are not 100% true. So I say it as in my understanding. For example, some of the yoga postures originally taught were to prepare for meditation. So when we think of monks sitting cross-legged in a cave for 100 years or, not fully breathing, knowing that there's that meditative quality, that mindfulness quality to yoga. There's yoga that's of service through chanting. And again, some people may say, oh, chanting's kind of weird. Physiologically, whether you're chanting, singing a nursery rhyme, or humming, there's an aspect of yoga nidra. It's not my practice, where you actually do some of the bee breathing, the buzzing in your throat to prepare for yoga nidra. So again, whether you want to chant, sing a hymn, there's an aspect that's really, really good for your vagus nerve, which relaxes you down. So many aspects of physical yoga, the devotion, the preparation, that has you be willing to look at who you are and what are you saying about yourself, which I think is self-love.
Wow. Oh my gosh. The things we say about ourselves. And if we could change that narrative, if it's negative, if it's positive, keep going with that, But for me, it definitely has been that negative words that other people have said that I take to heart, and then they become my words and they become my belief. And so changing that narrative and script and how I view myself has been the work. And continues to be the work. And you talked about discipline. I really want to touch on that because I think discipline and consistency with these types of things are really huge, and it's hard. If you're anything like me, it's hard. And I'm assuming for some other people, the like getting up in the morning or doing it. So how do you balance discipline and acceptance of where you are? Because I do believe it is a fine balance, and it's like when in yoga they talk about balancing effort with ease, yes. Right? And so there's this fine line of like, yes, discipline, and we need to be consistent, we have to go for it, but then we can get too rigid in that structure and lose that just beautiful stillness and acceptance of simply being. So what are your thoughts about that?
That's a good question. I feel like the acceptance, and in the yoga world we talk about non-attachment. The acceptance is the self-love, and the extreme of the discipline, I would say, is more of the loathing or the hate. So people, I know people who will say, I'm going to do this 21-day challenge. I'm going to give up alcohol. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to write in a journal. And then when they don't, you even see it on social media, or friends will call there, I'm really, really stupid because I didn't journal every day. I know I should have gone to yoga, and I ate a piece of pie instead, and I'm a terrible person. And as I hear that, especially if someone's calling, telling me that, there's a little script in my mind of, are you asking me to co-sign that? But, and not judgment, but right now, are you calling me to ask me to, inviting me into your conversation to go, yeah, you should have gone to yoga. Yeah, you really are stupid for not journaling. So I feel like the discipline is, it's our mind and body the right amount of discipline is our mind and body asking us to pay attention to what is or what will be good for us. I'm not great at getting up in the morning. I got up 12 days straight to do a breathwork certification. So my balance was, okay, Jill, you really don't like getting up, but this is something you do want to get up for. It's temporary. And I had a choice. I didn't have to get up every morning, but I said, it's 12 days. Let me see how this feels. And sometimes too, I think as things get tougher, there's that want to, whether we call it spiritual bypassing or sugarcoat, or the cheer, just Jill, just tell yourself you can get up in the morning. That's great if that works for you. But for me, sometimes the discipline is, I want to do this, I probably should do this, and then I'll sit for a minute and go, you know what? It's not going to happen today. And I'll check the little bit of cheerleading. And it's like, can I cheerlead my? And it's like, no, intuitively, I feel like it's not happening. And I need to look at that and then be quiet. So yeah, I didn't get up. I didn't do my yoga. I didn't wash my car. I didn't do whatever it is that I thought I was. The self-love is, come back and look at that. And even if you have a really messed up reason why you didn't do it, don't, I'm showing my hands, don't load more stuff on top of that. I mentioned yoga nidra is the unveiling and the appealing, letting go. If you get to a point where you weren't disciplined, you're not showing yourself self-love, that's okay. Stop when you can, just look at that. You don't even have to fix it. So again, the discipline to an extreme, I think, is like that self-loathing, and you're kind of, what's the word, like almost digging yourself in the back. And then just knowing what you want to do and why you want to do it. And when you don't do something, sit still and go, okay, that's where I'm at. Not easy, but that's what I do to keep that balance.
Yeah, and I think that's great. It's the the level of awareness, as we start becoming more aware of the things, like, man, this is like the 5th day in a row that I've told myself I'm going to get up early, and for 5 days I've hit snooze and I haven't gotten up early, and then we start having this awareness, and then just going more of a gentle, man, is that who I want to be? Like, do I want to break commitments to myself? And it's that awareness, but not that self-loathing of, because I did that, I am a horrible person, wretched, and I should, be put to death or something, which is how dramatic I feel like a lot of times we can be internally with ourselves. So, so I love that, just the concept of awareness, being gentle with ourselves, and coming back to self-love and acceptance instead of harping on ourselves, because layering on more things like judgment and criticism is going to sink us deeper into the pit. So we're running out of time, because these interviews go by so quickly. You guys have so many good things to say that I'm always blown away. But what are some last just encouraging words, tips, tools, anything that's on your heart right now to share with people that may be feeling overwhelmed, maybe feeling stressed, anxious, depressed, just in a bad state, what would you say to them?
What I would most encourage is that acknowledgement. These are very, very different times. There are people that they look like they're thriving. I know more people who look like they're not. There are more days that I have, and I feel like I have a pretty good life. I have a lot of tools available to me, and there are days that are hard. And I say that because I think there's some comfort when you know everyone is going through something. I have not experienced cancer, so I can't say I know what that feels like. But this is worldwide, community wide. And the reason I mention that is it's a new and a different time, and I think we need new and different practices. So I also know people have moved out of self-love because they say, well, running has always worked for me and now it doesn't. Talking to friends has always worked. Yoga has always worked. Taking vitamins, getting a massage has always worked, and that's not working. It makes sense because I can't count the number of things I've tried to plan for this week, and I can still plan, but it doesn't happen. I have a small yoga or small meditation yoga studio. I was told, was it day before? I think yesterday at 3 p.m. Oh, you can open effective 3 p.m. Go ahead and open. I was like, oh, okay. The air quality, there's a great family event this weekend, and we keep saying, let's wait till 2 p.m. and we'll let you know. So find practices, keep doing the practices that are working for you. And that's not just yoga. It can simply be having a great cup of coffee or going outside or calling a friend. My big message though is we need new practices. You might need a new circle of friends or additional friends or a different way to move your body or different books to read, because these are just everybody says it, but unprecedented times. And I don't think anything's going away anytime soon. We're not going to have as much sun, which is vitamin D and a warmth issue. However you feel about the elections are coming up. Holidays are coming up. Holidays will look different this year than next year. Vacation plans maybe are canceled. Is school on or off, whether you have kids in college? So long-winded answer to find maybe new practices. Don't be afraid to investigate different things. I love Yoga Nidra. I love the style that I teach, but I have also started looking and listening to other styles. So don't be afraid to do something different, especially if what's in your toolbox is not working. And look for ways to measure your self-love so that you're not saying, no, I'm okay. No, I got this. I'm okay. Really check, slow down and check to see where you're okay and how okay you're not, and be okay with not being okay.
Yes, acceptance, all love, all goodness. And I love what you were saying about it. Reminds me of just the term that has become, I think, more popular this year, which is the pivot, right? So we're pivoting, and it really is a resilience and a flexibility. Like, this is a huge experiment in resilience and flexibility, and how can we mold and bend and shape and turn and pivot and find new ways and expand our horizon. And it actually, depending on how we look at it, we could view it as an adventure. I mean, this is something new. Anything new, it can be an adventure, or it could be, deathly terrifying. And so if we could have our perspective be, man, this is rough and tough and different. And you know what? It's new though. And so how am I gonna navigate this? And then it really causes us to step up mentally and step up just with different ways of looking at the world. So I love that you brought that up. You are so full of amazing insight and just love and warmth. And now tell us the name of your studio here so that people that are in the Sacramento Elk Grove area, if they want to go check you out, they can.
I named my business Breathing Space, and that was actually before I bought the building. So it's Breathing Space. On Instagram, it's Breathing Space Elk Grove, but pretty much if you just Google breathing space Elk Grove, or if you remember my name is Jill, you'll find the right breathing space. I'm
Yes.
online for now. We'll see about reopening and what that looks like, but yes, breathing space.
Awesome. And I'm going to put,
Yes.
what's that?
I said the little tagline is I help people calm their chaos.
Oh, I love that. Calm your chaos. We all need a little calm to our chaos for sure. And I will post all the links also so that people can have an easy way to click and find you. But thank you so much, Jill. You are amazing. Mwah.
Thank you.
See you next time.
All right.